Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sub-Auteurs.
Tonight.
Yes. Tonight, we will be recording on a very well-loved musical in its newest iteration for 2021, directed by Steven Spielberg himself.
Anger management. It's not anger management.
Broadway classic.
I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
West Side Story. I'm Mai.
And witty.
Pretty
I'm Misha.
and bright. I'm Anjo.
And apologies in advance for all the singing that will commence in this episode. This will be fun.
Tonight. We'll sing while we record.
I dare you to sing the entire episode.
West Side Story.
Oh. Okay, I'm impressed. Let's see if you
That
can
was
keep
impressive,
that up.
Misha.
Oh, thank you.
Keep that up for the next hour. Let's do this. Roll the intro. Woo! So basically, West Side Story was a Broadway play originally. In a nutshell, Romeo and Juliet set in 1950s New York.
Tonight.
There are two rival gangs in the story, the Sharks and the Jets.
When you're a jet all the way. Oh, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, so the Jets are the New Yorkers, the white New Yorkers, and the Sharks are this group of Puerto Rican immigrants who are settling in New York, living their new life away from Puerto Rico. And here we find the protagonists, Tony and Maria, from different sides who fall in love. And of course, chaos ensues.
How dare they?
How dare they start a world war?
But, if they don't fall in love, we don't have a movie. So, okay, fine. Sure.
Fine. But yes, basically that's it.
You won't be entertained.
This will not end well.
No
Obviously.
more flowy skirts and fantastic high kicks.
Yeah. But yes, you know how it ends. Romeo and Juliet has a tragic ending, so...
What? I don't know. Do people even read anymore? Because I know nobody's going to plays. Do people read anymore? Do they know how Romeo and Juliet ended?
They both die.
Oh.
No.
Okay, you should know this by now.
Only one of them dies.
They both die.
No,
They both
Juliet
die.
wakes up.
Then she kills herself.
Bitch.
That's why she's a dumb bitch.
All right, they're both stupid. That's right.
They're both stupid. So
Wow, I'm the one who wasn't reading. Shit.
And you're a writer.
Nobody tell my high school literature teacher.
But well, obviously, West Side Story has its twists and turns, different version of the original Shakespeare play. So it plays out like this.
I have just one useless bit of trivia because my parents were in the UP concert chorus and they actually did an arrangement of West Side Story in Filipino. And I grew up hearing about that. That's why my father, he did the whole Officer Krupke number and they did it in Filipino and they're still trying to find the recording. Nobody knows where it is.
Oh man. Ngayong gabi! Ngayong gabi! I don't know
Sige nga,
how to translate.
how would
Probably
Maria
better.
sound?
Wow, long silence, Donovan. We were all stumped.
Paano ko yung translate, putang ina?
Sana may cricket sounds doon.
You done?
But I'm done.
I doubt it. You'll be singing somewhere within the hour of this recording. But yes, so like I said, we will be talking about West Side Story.
Oh, yeah.
We are so grateful to our friends over at Stratworks and Disney who invited us to the actual advanced screening. Thank you so much. It was actually my first movie theater experience in 2 years, and I'm so glad that it was West Side Story.
In fact, I actually was able to get Deng out of the house to watch this movie. It was also her first movie here in Manila after so long because COVID kept everybody indoors. But she told me even last year that if I was going to get an invite to West Side Story, I should tell her. So that day finally came. I threw it at her. I know. Are you going to come out of the house? Are we going to see this movie? And yes, we did. And no regrets. This was a great theatrical experience.
So worth it. I kind of teared up for more than one reason. Besides the fact that it was my first movie and it was glorious when the lights went out and, it started playing. I heard a whistle. I knew it was coming. But yeah, I was also in tears for reasons we will explain later on. And because Anjo wasn't there. Wow! Sip, sip.
Yes,
I was there in
it was
spirit,
wonderful
though.
because Anjo wasn't there. That added to the experience.
You
Wait,
kept messaging
is that-
me naman. You missed me. Ooh.
You even drew him in our group picture.
See?
We used
That was all
cutting
Misha.
edge CGI to insert Anjo into our Instagram
yeah,
post
that
from the event. That was very memorable.
You
Yes, I remember.
would put ILM to shame.
I would. I really would.
Yes, you
and
would.
I did that for you. I did that for you, my friend.
See, that's effort. I was
Yes.
out of town when this happened. I am so sorry. I missed the premiere.
And Digital Anjo was also stepping on my foot at the time. So
Well, it
Aren't you
happens.
lucky it was digital
happens.
me? That digital me was lighter than the actual me.
yeah, your digital self is kind of skinny. I don't know. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Pretty
the movie
skinny,
is
but-
showing in cinemas now. It's still showing in cinemas, and it just premiered on Disney Plus. For those of you who have your VPNs running, catch it whatever way you can. This is good stuff, guys, and we're gonna go
It's
into that.
great stuff. Good stuff won't cut it.
Mhm.
Great stuff. So, all right,
Great.
let's just jump right into it. First impressions. How did you feel after seeing this highly anticipated movie by Steven Spielberg, no less?
I wanted to
Oh,
join a street gang and go dancing in the streets because we all know the toughest street gangs snap their fingers in rhythm and do ballet in the streets.
I would love to be in a musical in general, like in a musical setting, to have my life like that, because automatically you are just a good dancer and you can like randomly join any group of people dancing and you'd know all the steps and you'd be so graceful.
I mean, imagine living in a musical. You just break out into song or dance.
And everybody knows
simultaneously.
all the words.
all the steps. And what else?
And your outfits are all coordinated for some reason.
Absolutely. And traffic will give way to your breathtaking numbers and people will cheer for you. They will not be mad that you're holding up traffic or dancing on a train or singing on a boat.
They might dance along with you.
Yes, they will.
Yeah, they probably will. All right. So I, for one, really was breathless afterwards. Like, besides the fact that I was wearing a mask inside the cinemas, my mask was wet.
Right.
My mask was wet from my tears, and I was just completely in awe of how this thing was mounted. Crazy.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. Like the first minute of it all, that first sequence was just amazing. It was enough to be, it was enough as a hook to get me just pay attention to the whole thing. Amazing.
This is one of those musicals that I grew up on because my parents are very musically inclined and they made sure growing up that we saw all these old musicals, and the 1961 film adaptation of the original play, which is a classic film now. I mean, that is something that's like burned into my brain. So seeing it reinterpreted through a new lens, through a 21st century lens, updated, contemporary, and it's by Steven Spielberg. This was just a real treat for me. Just hearing all these old songs that I've known since I was young, reinterpreted for a new audience. And I greatly appreciated it.
Yeah, since you already touched upon the 1961 original, maybe for those of us who've seen it, maybe we can make some comparisons. For those of you who will be going into the movie expecting something, if you've seen the old one, like what are the differences that we can point out?
Well, I think the most obvious one, honestly, is the fact that it gives more of a backstory. It humanizes a lot of the characters in a bigger way. They're not just caricatures, especially the Puerto Ricans. Because like if you see the old one, it was all just a bunch of white guys. There was even a Japanese girl in there, and they all just painted them the same shade of brown, like shamelessly.
Yep.
They painted them all
like
brown.
So much brown face. I was horrified when I saw it.
It was a product of its time back then.
It was a product of its time, but I adored that movie. I mean, and something else but if you look at the old one, it really treated the Puerto Ricans like this other alien race. It didn't even try to make them sympathetic other than Maria. So I like here that they fleshed out the backstory of characters like Bernardo a little bit more. They added a little bit more life to these characters. And that's not just to the Puerto Ricans. So the Puerto Ricans get a little bit more of an even keel, but even the white characters are fleshed out. So they feel more like people here rather than, people who are just waiting to burst into song.
Yeah. And the old one, of course, like Angela already mentioned earlier, product of its time, not only because of the brown face thing, but also in its simplicity. Maybe the technology we have now wasn't available for them at the time. So technically, it was much simpler. The sets were kind of like what you would see on stage. The camera wasn't moving as much, but just in general, it was much simpler. But what it lacked in camera movement really made up for in lighting and the performances. Obviously, the choreography was still great, but it's definitely a good classic that you might wanna look back on or check out if you haven't seen it yet. It's a classic for a reason.
The score by Leonard Bernstein is one of the all-time greats. It's notoriously difficult to sing because it's not intuitive. So a lot of what goes into the score of West Side Story is counterintuitive to somebody who's classically trained. So it takes a very specific kind of singer, a very specific kind of performer to pull it off. And I'm glad to say that the cast here, they do a great job with it. Because in 1961, a lot of the people who were on screen singing, that wasn't even their actual voice. They were chosen because they were pretty people. Like the leader of the Sharks, Bernardo, he was played by a Greek guy, for heaven's sake. And Maria was Natalie Wood. So, these were not necessarily Puerto Ricans. They were just chosen because they were pretty. And here we get the pretty people.
They feel pretty.
Here we get the pretty people, but they can also sing and dance their ass off, and it's just amazing to look at.
They basically got triple threats now, like legit people, people with legit theater, Broadway back experience.
All right, so let's get to those people.
Surely.
For this 2021 version.
I think something that's interesting about musicals we've been seeing recently, especially with things like, Les Mis or Cats or, Phantom of the Opera.
Cats.
Oh God, yeah. Cats. I got shivers. In a bad way.
Tough talk from Anjo. He still hasn't watched the damn thing.
Thank you for reminding me.
No. Something that's interesting about the modern day musical compared to, let's say, something from the 60s was that in the 60s, people kind of accepted it, that it wasn't necessarily the voice of the actor that they were seeing on screen who was singing. But as people became more intelligent, more savvy about how movies were made, it became seen as a form of cheating to have somebody singing for you. So now, because studios are so risk averse, they would rather get a big name actor who they can train to kind of sing and then put him on the screen just so they can justify the budget of their big musicals now. And
you mean like The Rock and Moana?
No, okay, The Rock can do anything. Excuse you. The Rock can do anything. Okay, he can do anything. He was the Tooth Fairy once. Oh fuck, no, he was.
Right.
Yes, he was.
Or was that Vin Diesel?
No, that was him. Vin Diesel was the pacifier.
Oh my god. But anyways, the cool thing about West Side Story now versus the old one, as much as I love the old one, is that here everybody does their own singing to various degrees of success. Spielberg went all out in casting even people who were not necessarily well known because he really wanted to do right by this story, whether it was casting of race or somebody who could actually do their own singing. And it really, really shows.
I think it really paid off because everybody could sing. Like even the weakest link
Oh man,
Dare I
we gotta
say
talk
his
about
name
that
now?
guy.
Yeah,
let's get him
Okay,
out of the way before we
let's get him out
start
of the way.
praising everybody
Yeah.
else.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, Ansel Elgort is not known for his singing, but to be fair, if you're going up against Broadway classically trained Broadway actors like Ariana DeBose or Rachel Ziegler, he actually held his own pretty well. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't flat,
But
it wasn't that
he goes
flat.
flat a couple of times. In Tonight.
It's better than Russell Crowe in Les Mis.
Oh my God.
Because Russell Crowe was singing out of his nose. I'm like, that was really fucking bad.
Every time
really
he mentioned
bad.
Javert, it was the most painful thing.
Javert.
That was already like a benchmark of what not to do. So to be fair, he didn't do that, but he wasn't great either.
He wasn't great.
Yeah.
But I think that's also something that this movie has in common with the 61 version, in that Richard Beymer in the original one was also the weakest link of that cast. He was just chosen because he looked so gosh darn charming. He wasn't chosen because he could sing.
Cute.
But
He was so cute.
but he could really sell that whole innocence, that whole romantic leaning thing to, that West Side Romeo versus Ansel Elgort, who just seems kind of creepy.
Are you saying he's creepy because of the sexual assault allegations, or
I'm saying he's creepy because he's creepy.
not without the background, without the
No, because,
controversy.
Look, remember how I said like old Tony was cast because he looked like he was somebody who could believe in love at first sight. In the new one, the Maria they got, fuck me.
Rachel Ziegler.
Thank you. In the
Rachel
new
Ziegler.
one, the Maria they got, Rachel Ziegler, she looks like you could believe that she believes in love at first sight. She really sells the innocent, the naive nature of this character who still believes the
does have
best
the
in the
look.
world. But whenever she gets on screen with Ansel Elgort, Tony, it's just wrong because you're seeing a girl who's like 15 and you're seeing a guy who just got out of prison. Because and that whole prison thing wasn't in the play, that wasn't in the 61 movie. That was something they specifically added to make this Tony seem maybe a little bit more tough. But it just means,
But
you know what
he
that says
could
to
be.
me? He came from prison. That means he's over 18. He's over 18.
He could be just 18.
He's hitting on this 15-year-old girl, And
Sometimes in their system,
looks like
though,
he's
even if you're
grooming her.
underage-
he's
No, but
grooming
sometimes-
her and you're watching. You are paying to watch him groom her. And it's creepy.
Yeah, but then sometimes, what if you're 17 years old when you're being tried as a juvenile, then you turn 18, then you're moved into adult prison? That's what happens. That could happen.
What are you, his lawyer?
I don't know. I'm just, But
No.
Yeah, but I guess you're right. It was kind of creepy. It looked creepy because he has this certain expression in his face where he's trying to doing the smolder that the guy
He
from
can't
Tango.
do it. It
He
looks
can't do it. He
weird.
can't do it. He really can't.
Also,
It doesn't help that he's 6'3" and the girl is and Rachel Ziegler's tiny.
Yeah, he's got like 3 feet on her. It's ridiculous.
well, it was in the script. She was like, "Oh,
fine,
you're tall."
yes. He's tall, but he looks like a bad render of young Brando.
Oh
It's
my
like-
God.
It's like, you lost internet while you were downloading a picture of young Brando, and that's what came out, Ansel Elgort's face. Now,
I
they
want
say
the
that-
comparison picture from you.
I will post that in the group. Wait, but Spielberg said that he cast Elgort because he saw him in Baby Driver.
But that's
He
not,
was playing somebody who was, of special needs in Baby Driver. And he wasn't really expressive or emotive.
You really
or-
need to be super expressive in musicals. Like,
Right?
hello. Acting wise, while watching the movie, I was like, man, move your face. Move your face. Come on.
Yeah,
Your body's dancing, but your face is not moving. Come on.
The whole time he had this perpetual pout.
Yes.
Yeah,
he
that was
did.
the whole 2 hours, 30 minutes of Ansel Elgort.
It's like he was trying for Zoolander's Blue Steel, and it just wasn't working for me. Maybe it worked on Maria, but it didn't work on me.
It really worked on Maria.
And I was also thinking about how he was excluded in most of the marketing and publicity, right? Because of his scandal. And
That's right.
I was
Alleged
grateful.
scandal.
Yes, alleged scandal. So I was kind of grateful because these people I actually saw in the posters, and he was barely in the trailer too, and he's fucking Tony.
He is. He's freaking Romeo to her Maria's Juliet.
Yeah,
How can he not be there?
But like, after seeing the movie, I'm like, it's okay. It's okay that he's not in much of the posters or the trailer because he didn't really do much. He had no chemistry with Maria.
It was just so awkward, especially when they sang One Heart, One Hand during the wedding sequence. Like, oh my God, make it stop. Just make it stop. And it does. But here's the worst thing. Rachel Zegler is singing her heart out, right?
Oh, she's amazing.
Right?
Dude.
And
My jaw dropped when she started singing.
Spielberg and his regular cinematographer, Janusz Kaminski, they are shooting the shit out of that sequence. And it's got this beautiful lighting from the stained glass window in the church that they're in.
Beautiful.
It just looks gorgeous. And then you got Ansel there, who's like, he's got as much charisma as, I don't know, a bag of wood. That's what he looks like. And he, parang, you're supposed to be in love with this girl. What is wrong with you?
This is where you kind of say your vows to each other. And if not for the beautiful lighting and Maria's angelic face, I wouldn't have believed it.
Yes. That's the frustrating thing because everybody around him is incredible. Look at when they do that number Cool, when he's trying to get a gun from his best friend Riff. And he's supposed to be the rational, calm one because he's so in love. But then half of the sequence is his dance double because he can't keep up with the Broadway guys that he's acting with. Parang sayang eh.
No, that's why while watching this, I was watching with my wife and I was like, is that Ansel Elgort? I didn't know he could dance. And then my wife was like, yeah, I think that's a double.
Yeah, when they would hide his face. They would shoot him from the back and all that stuff.
It's all long shots. It makes sense to have long shots for this. But it was a beautiful sequence.
But you know who can really fucking dance? Anita and Bernardo. Holy God.
Ariana DeBose is the best. Because
yes.
Of course, you'd expect her to dance that well because she's a classically trained dancer, Broadway with, Broadway pedigree. She was also discovered in So You Think You Can Dance.
Right.
She's a regular performer there.
She was the bullet in Hamilton. So, that performance was all movement.
Exactly. So you see how well she was, like, especially when it was her time to shine. Like I guess she was the showstopper of this musical when it was her singing that song with Bernardo.
David Alvarez. Yeah. He was actually one of the, 800 Billy Elliots in the musical version, in the stage version of Billy Elliot. And David Alvarez is Bernardo and Ariana DeBose as Anita. They just steal the freaking show with America. That is incredible. That for the longest time was, in the old version, that was Rita Moreno's signature number. And she actually became the first Puerto Rican ever to win an Academy Award. She won Best Supporting Actress. And now it looks like Ariana DeBose could be on her way to repeating that feat.
I mean, like being a nominee for that category alone with the same actress, with the same character, with a different actress is puts you in a very exclusive club. Imagine if she wins it.
Yeah, she'd be like the Joker.
And if she does win it, it's like the role is either blessed that the whoever plays Anita will automatically get an Oscar. It's like the opposite of a curse somehow. But at the same time, if ever, maybe 30 years from now or 60 years from now, there's another version of West Side Story. Whoever's going to be playing Anita then in the future has really big shoes to fill.
Totally.
Seriously,
no pressure.
Anita in this movie was just amazing. You're right. She for me, she was like the star of the show. She stole the whole show. I couldn't really take my eyes off of her performance, from her dancing to her singing, everything. It was complete. She was the complete package for this.
And she's my favorite character in general because she had the right amount of realism, but also she was very, like the right amount of realistic and idealistic, like somewhere
Yes.
in the middle, because you have this immigrant story, and America was all about her and Bernardo arguing on whether life is great in America, or in Bernardo's
Or-
case, he wants to go back to Puerto Rico.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
There's
like,
6 kids.
yeah, and it's
Good
an
luck with that.
amazing balance, and the character is also so complex that you would see that she definitely would be angry at what events unfold later on, but at the same time she genuinely believes in love as well, which is
Mhm.
why she kind of also understands Maria's stupidity. Sorry, I'm
No, she's got it.
Naivete.
That is-
naivete. Fine, that's a nicer way to put it, but
I love that number where Ariana DeBose and Rachel Ziegler go head to head singing A Boy Like That. And
Mhm.
holy shit, when they're just going at each other and they're singing their lungs out. And
the
they're
vocals, my
it's
God.
Jesus
and
Christ.
they're acting all throughout. It's just incredible. You see where, that stage training comes into play because
Mhm.
they are just incredible. And speaking of stage, Rita Moreno, I cannot say enough good things about her. She was Anita in the original. She's in this one too at the young age of 89. She's in this movie. And
that's why she wasn't moving so much.
but still, when Tony would pick her up and be like, "Put her down! How dare you? You put down Broadway royalty." But yeah, Rita Moreno is in this movie, and she essentially takes the place of Doc from the original
Mhm.
play and the original film, who owns the drugstore where the Jets, the white gang, hang out. And here that comes with a twist of irony because she is a Puerto Rican,
Mhm.
but all the people hanging out in her store are the white jerks. And they explain it by saying that she's Doc's widow, so she
Mhm.
married a white guy. So in their eyes, she's quote unquote acceptable.
Mhm. She's actually the one in the middle because she does have her ties to the white community, but she's Puerto Rican, so she's the balance.
She's like
Out
a
of its-
voice of reason.
Yeah, kind of. So
Mhm.
she is there as a mother figure to Tony and maybe some of the white kids, but she also represents how they can come together.
Mhm.
You know what? I'm not okay. I gotta give this one to the new film. I liked when Tony went up to Rita Moreno's character. Her name is Valentina. When Tony goes to Valentina and asks how to tell Maria he loves her in Spanish, I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
okay,
adorable.
that was good stuff. That was
That
good
was-
writing.
That's so cute. Like
Mm-mm.
that was a cute scene, but Ansel.
Yeah, Ansel. Boo.
Okay, everybody is also amazing, but I also want to point out somebody who was just like okay lang. Let's get
Go
to
for it.
Chino.
I don't know.
My mom was so mad because we saw it on
Chino's so
Disney Plus
forgettable.
like a couple of weeks later. She's all like, "What did they do to Chino?"
Because Chino in the original is somebody you can believe to be Bernardo's right-hand man. He was tough. And of course, if I'm Bernardo, this is the guy I trust my little sister with.
Right.
But this one, they suddenly made him all nerdy.
Well, I think story-wise, it kind of works.
It
I guess
made
they
sense.
want, it made sense in a way.
But-
But if I were Bernardo, it's like, I'm not giving my little sister
No.
to this loser.
I think it
no,
made sense.
it
'cause
made sense.
He
I
didn't want
liked-
her to end up with someone like him.
So
No, but I
He
like-
wanted her to
that-
be with this educated
No.
guy with a future. He didn't want her to be with a gang
Exactly.
member.
Exactly.
It worked, I think.
In my opinion, it did work because you wanted somebody stable for my sister, because
Yeah.
that's how I would feel. But
That's how they
but the-
sold her.
but
sold
the
him to
thing
her.
was they never established a good relationship. They never showed a good relationship between Chino and Bernardo. That's why Chino was kind of off. Like they didn't even give him enough screen time.
Yeah, and you have this one character in a musical where everybody can dance, and you really have to write in that he can't fucking dance.
And
Like
then
how
he-
purpose.
unfortunate-
On purpose.
How
Not like
unfortunate
Ansel.
would you have to be the only person in an entire musical who can't dance?
Yeah, but at least his was written that way, not like Ansel.
Good point.
Okay, the
But, yeah.
one other the one other character that I really enjoyed was Riff.
Oh,
Riff
I
was
loved
great.
Riff. Riff
Riff,
was
What the hell? I
amazing.
love Riff.
Riff from the get-go exuded charisma. I was like, this guy,
Yes.
Yes.
this guy, first minute of him showing up on screen, it's like, this guy's something. And then he starts dancing. Ay puta, kaya
That's
pala.
it. It's right
Mhm.
there.
There you go.
Right. Absolutely.
And
And-
the way he would deliver his lines was just super on point. You had that sharp, tough guy. Would you say wit or charm? Either one.
No, I think
Swag.
he's got that whole street smart
Swag.
thing.
That
Yeah.
old 50s street smart gangsters swag. There you go.
And he's played by Michael Feist, who was
Oh,
actually
he's so
in.
good.
He was in Dear Evan Hansen. And he's completely unlike the 61 riff. The 61 riff was Russ Tamblyn. He was actually a gymnast. That's why they chose him, because they could work in his somersaults into the choreography, and then they just dub him with somebody else later. But the 21st century version of Riff, he can do it all. He's great. He's like a skinny guy. He's lean. So like, but the second he opens his mouth, the faces that he makes, this body language, you can believe that a street gang would follow this guy.
Yep. Especially that part in when he was buying a gun. I was like, like he had those subtle nuances, like you would think that only a street smart New Yorker who grew up in, one of those rough places would exude.
And I would be genuinely frightened of this guy. And it's not that, he has the perfect balance of street smart and toughness. Because if you just look at a guy sometimes, it's like if you're some part of the opposite gang, you're like, I'm not threatened. But you'd think that somebody that not really skinny, but he's not like meaty, he's not like threatening or like a big guy, but you just know that he can outwit you. He can like read you down to filth when it comes to insults. So it's really a guy you don't want to fuck with, as opposed to maybe casting somebody like big and burly who you might think of as some sort of meathead, but no, he's like the total package. And I would really not want to mess with this guy, especially if he's like leading a gang.
Wait,
What?
part of me is thinking maybe that's why they had to say that Tony went to prison to justify how Ansel Elgort could beat up anybody. Like, why do you want that guy in your rumble? He's so freaking awkward. Oh, he went to prison because he beat up a guy.
Oh my god, I thought we were done with the Ansel roast part.
Well, Misha can't help himself but roast
I'm
Ansel
sorry.
Elgort.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But can we go back to Riff? What I really liked about him in this version is that they really played up the part of how this is somebody who's desperate to hold on to his way of life because he doesn't know any other way. This is all he's had, all he's known. He doesn't see any other future other than these streets. And in this point in time, the city of New York is even taking that away from him. For those of you who don't know, the original play came out in 1954. And at that time, the demolition of the area known as San Juan Hill, it was an 18-block area, was already being planned by the city of New York. So the city of New York used eminent domain to essentially evict about 4,000 people from their homes with the promise of financial aid, which never came, just so they could build a nice gentrified neighborhood on top of this shitty 18-block area. And you know that section of land now because that is where landmarks like Lincoln Center are. It's a nice neighborhood which has no room for street gangs who are just fighting for turf.
Or dancing for turf.
Dancing for turf. And it's funny you should mention the dancing because that's why the streets are so empty in the opening of the 61 original, because that demolition was already underway. So it wasn't that the streets were empty. It wasn't they were empty because they were shooting. They were empty because they were empty. And you can see it. Look at the buildings behind them. They're dancing. The buildings are boarded up. And there's actually some parts where they don't cut right away and you can see demolished buildings. And here, they actually make that gentrification of New York a part of the story. And it really works because it drives home the message of what the hell are you people even fighting for?
And a difference between the 1961 film and this one. This has a lot more chatty parts because the 1961 film would go from musical number, just a little dialogue, to another, jump right into another musical number. Here, they really fleshed out all the problems or everything that's going on. There's a lot more chit chat, which maybe some people in the original would not really be fond of, but it really gave it a lot more depth because you could hear that they're talking about how a lot of the rich, successful people would have probably already moved out of that place. And the Puerto Ricans are coming in, and here is Riff really struggling with the fact that he thought that he could rule this place. Because okay, yeah, all the rich people who take control of us back then are out. Then I can be king of this hood. But here come the immigrants taking away what's supposed to be mine. So that complexity is given to Riff.
Yes, absolutely. And it just gave depth that wasn't there originally. Before, it was just the white guys against the Puerto Rican guys. And that was it. It was just Romeo and Juliet writ large, just transposed to the modern day. And the real star of the show was the score, the songs, and the choreography. But if there's something Spielberg can do and has been doing for the last, 50 years at this point, is he knows how to put together a good story. And I cannot believe this is the first time he's actually done a musical.
And he's done it quite well. I wouldn't expect him to do a musical. Not at all. Especially now at this point in his life where he's...
Yeah, he's in his 70s now. He said he was 10 years old when he saw the original in 61.
Right?
Wow.
So you would think he would have done it when he was younger. But maybe making it when he's done so much prior to this helped a lot because we have Steadicams and gimbals, we can see the characters in a very different way because you can actually feel as an audience member, feel like you're part of the choreography, you're part of the interaction, like you're really up close and personal with these guys, and you're really going through the emotions that they're feeling. So that's something that really stood out to me when I was watching this movie. And Spielberg, being Spielberg, just did it his way, and the payoff was just amazing.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams, that's how you do lens flares, you idiot.
Hey, he's not an idiot. He just can't finish. He can't finish.
Sorry. Oh, that's so sad. It happens to a lot of guys, Anjo, but
Yeah. Sorry, Misha. Sorry about that.
Oh, God.
It's okay. I forgive you.
Anyway. All right, since we're at the direction, here comes, I guess, the Spielberg ass-kissing part. Go for it.
I mean, what are we going to say? It's Steven Spielberg.
It is Steven Spielberg.
Tried and tested, Josh.
He's the only director. He's the only director to have a Best Director nomination across 6 decades now. One in each decade.
Maybe that's his goal. That's why he made this movie.
Yep. That's from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020s. So yeah, 6 decades. He has multiple Best Director nominations across each decade.
Misha can count with his fingers.
I can. Thank God they can't see that. That's embarrassing. But Spielberg had his work cut out for him because the original film was directed by Robert Wise, who was himself a Hollywood legend. Because Robert Wise directed not just West Side Story, but he also directed The Sound of Music, the sci-fi classic, The Day the Earth Stood Still, another classic, Star Trek, the motion picture. This guy's resume was stacked. And the fact that Spielberg took it on, I don't think he would have done it if he didn't think he could bring something new to it. And what's interesting is he made a big point of saying that he wanted to adapt the play. He didn't want to adapt the movie. But you can see some flourishes from the 61 movie that he incorporated here just because he loved it so much. And the same philosophy applied apparently to adapting the score, because the people who made the 61 movie were the same people who made the play, essentially. So whatever they changed in the score for the movie in 61, some of those they incorporated into the new version because they said it still counts. It's canon because it's the same people who reworked it anyway. So they mixed and matched the best parts of the play, the best parts of the movie, and I think they came out with a fantastic reimagining.
You could also see in the newer version that Spielberg rearranged some songs. So in the original, in the 1961 one, Cool came after the big fight between the two gangs. But here, cool was used as a way of Tony really making an effort to try to stop the big fight. It came before it, which really made sense. And it really made a cool sequence of him trying to get the gun from Riff and everything and all the dancing. So that just, to me, made more sense narratively.
So cool had a cool sequence.
Oh my God.
It did.
Yes, that was basically the jazz,
it really was.
The modern jazz break of the original film.
It really was a pretty good sequence though.
It was fantastic. And I like
Ansel Elgort's
reimagining
stunt
here.
double was great.
Yes, his dance double. He was great. In all those scenes where he couldn't see his face, he was really selling it. Yes.
Oh my God.
That he was Ansel Elgort.
Look, you remember how I said...
Oh my God, we're back.
No. Okay, you know how I said like Elgort looks like a bad render of young Brando? When he sings like old Brando in The Godfather. He sounds like he's got cotton in his cheeks. He sings. It's weird. It's like he's got something in his throat.
It's not
that bad. The singing's not that bad. And he had one of the hardest songs to sing in the whole place.
I just, the second he busted out Something's Coming, I did not feel hopeful for his future. I didn't feel enthusiasm. He wasn't selling it.
Moving on from Ansel.
Sorry.
Finally, hope we get to put our foot down now.
Spielberg was great.
Shitting on him. Okay, let's go to our favorite sequences because I know that there are many we have to mention. The highlights that we would really want to point out.
I love the opening. The opening is great. When you hear that 3-note motif whistled that announces the jets arriving, and I love that. And the long shot that opens the movie, which just shows you the neighborhood, the demolition, introduces you to the characters. It just really sucks you in. That is a great opening. It is a fantastic way to introduce everything that happens here. And that's the one I'd have to say because I already said that I love America.
Oh, obviously America.
America is like, I think, everybody's favorite part of this movie, favorite sequence in this movie.
It's also so high energy and all the dancing in the streets and all the colors, the wardrobe, the skirts of all the women like floating around, the high kicks.
Actually, it was
Anita punching harder than Bernardo.
Yes, it was. Even though Bernardo was a boxer.
He's a boxer in this one, guys.
Pretty cool. And it was just such a complex scene because you start from their apartment and then they go out into the street and you see all the hustle and bustle of 1950s New York. They stopped traffic. It was gorgeous.
I just want to know. I would have loved to be in that room when they were planning about the choreography and the whole logistics and movement of that whole sequence.
You can just imagine the cinematographer. You want my camera to do what?
Maybe they would have done that. Maybe the cinematographer back in the 60s would have said that. But now, because we have steady cams and gimbals
incredible.
And
the camera was part of the dance. It really was.
And
we were part of the dance.
I feel like requirement siya ni Spielberg na he told the cinematographer, hey, you have to dance in this one. Not literally, but your lens, your camera has to dance with everyone.
Isn't Spielberg that filmmaker that for each decade he will force onto something into his movies a new technology, like what he wanted for Jurassic Park? Like he wanted the dinosaurs running as the camera.
I mean, that's more of a James Cameron thing, forcing new tech. Spielberg just happens to stumble into new shit to tell his stories, I guess.
Kind of like because it was him. That's why they did the whole. They did the whole animated dinosaurs while the camera was moving. It was because of him that they did that in Jurassic Park.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I mean, I guess because he's that type of guy and he has that much influence now that, we got to make this.
But what I like about Spielberg, honestly, is that he has like a trusted team of people that he works with,
An auteur.
No,
yes, he's an auteur.
fair enough.
Yes.
Like Janusz Kaminski.
Finally, somebody worthy of calling an auteur on this podcast. But
I mean,
sorry.
if you have a nomination for best director in each decade, then
over the last
you're
6
more than-
decades.
like, duh. Obviously.
I know, right? And this is the man who made Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in the same year. What the actual hell? I mean, come on. That is range. That is crazy range.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about him is that he works by and large with the same people, but it doesn't show. If you compare this movie to like any movie he's done over the last 20 years, it doesn't look like any of those. But he's still got Michael Kahn editing him. Michael Kahn has been his editor since Close Encounters of the Third Kind in like the late 70s.
Damn.
And Janusz Kaminski has been working with him since Schindler's List, I believe, replacing his previous cinematographer, his previous go-to guy. So he even wanted John Williams to work on and produce the soundtrack for this one, but John Williams is like, not my thing, but here's David Newman. He did the soundtrack for Anastasia. He's your guy. And I love it. It's a beautiful reinterpretation of the classic score.
Mm-hmm. And it just also so happened that it gave a good homage to Sondheim, who just recently passed away. It's kind of also sad to like know that whoever wrote all these beautiful lyrics couldn't see this version of it.
You want your head to hurt? When Sondheim wrote the lyrics, he was 25.
Fuck, what am I doing with my life?
Which is why Jonathan Larson was so mad.
Steven Sondheim was 25. He was working with already, musical theater legends, Leonard Bernstein, Jerome Bobbins, there was a choreographer, the director. And here's this young guy, Steven Sondheim, at the ripe old age of 25 years old, writing the words to one of the best American musicals ever written. Like, what the actual hell, guys?
Fucking shit. I mean, I love the guy. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace, rest in power.
Makes you question your life choices, no?
Yeah. Now let's get to the stars. Maria and Tony, aka 50s Romeo and Juliet.
I think we've said a lot about
not
Tony.
Ansel, dear God, please. Let's get to the actual characters in the scene.
Okay.
Their meet cute was just so fucking cute.
Okay, yes,
that meet cute.
It was a good meet cute.
And it was a great contrast because right before we also had an amazing dance sequence, like the actual dance where everybody comes to party and it's so lively. Everybody's kicking,
amazing,
like forming the two circles kind of thing, but not really following it, just like breaking out into groups.
Thing.
Dance off, exactly. And then moment of silence.
It's like the school was trying to start a rumble. What the hell were they thinking?
Really cool rumble, because like dance, if you could settle all fights with dance offs, that would be great.
That's why Michael Jackson ripped off West Side Story for the music video of Bad. That's why they're dancing in that, because he was addicted to West Side Story. He loved this musical.
That makes sense.
That's why in my head, it's always been reinforced that the toughest gangs, they dance like motherfuckers. And if they can't, they're not real gangs.
No, they're not. So, okay, back to the dance. So we have all this hullabaloo going on, fights almost starting, dance-offs, but then you get to classic makeout spot of teenagers.
I don't know anything about that. What?
Screw you, guys.
What? I've never been behind the bleachers.
Hindi naman ko, it's school namin.
Ano meron dun?
Okay. Si Anjo may excuse. Ewan ko kay Misha.
Sure.
But yes, Tony and Maria, suddenly things quiet down and they meet behind the bleachers. And it was adorable.
It was.
So cute.
I love the lighting in this sequence.
Yes.
Like, it really showed you how, you would see somebody that attracted you, like, as a celestial being, because of just how the lighting and the blocking was worked.
Good stuff. And the dialogue was very well handled in that, honestly. They were just playing off each other, which I'm not even going to comment anymore about the guy half of that scene.
Stop, please.
Even if, somebody else
Control yourself.
Dialogue was good. Guy delivering it was not. How's that?
If you have nothing good to say, keep quiet. If you have nothing good to say, keep quiet.
Why am I here? No, it was a wonderful meet cute, and it was a nice update to the original one where they spot each other across the dance floor and the world melts away.
Mm-hmm.
In this one, it's a little bit more plausible that Tony didn't die in the first 30 seconds of checking out his enemy gang leader's sister in public and was singing to her and dancing with her in public. I mean, like, yes, by all means, go behind the bleachers, kids. Please, we want Tony to live to the next act.
Yeah, it was adorbs.
And even what came after, when he's singing his heart out, calling for Maria. In a Latino neighborhood, every apartment would have a Maria in it. Ano ba? Come on, man. Every fucking apartment there would have a Maria. And there's this gringo singing his lungs out in the middle of the night. Amidst beautiful lighting. I love that the guy cleaning the tennis court turned on the lights for him just so he could have his moment. And when he goes into the alleys and he's singing at the different windows, it's just it's hard not to get swept up in it.
Mm-hmm. And if anything, I am a hater of Romeo and Juliet. Okay, not the Shakespeare work. We all know it's a classic, but in general, the characters of Romeo and Juliet to me are so fucking stupid.
They are. They're incredibly stupid.
Oh my God. Because I don't believe in love at first sight. I don't trust all the lengths they would have gone through, and knowing how the original Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare ends. Oh my God. Okay. Oh no, he's dead. I'm going to kill myself. Okay. So dumb. I hate it. So any iteration of Romeo and Juliet that doesn't make me want to rip my head off is good. So this didn't. This is fine.
Okay.
I know they are stupid at some point, but at least I believed it. I believed that they were in love. I believed they would go through so many lengths. Maybe I would still call Maria stupid for kind of like going with the guy who killed your brother and sleeping with him right after your brother was killed. It's like,
to be fair.
But okay, fine. I believe it.
To be fair.
Rachel Zegler sold it. Fine. I believe it.
When people consider their mortality, when they're faced with their mortality in a shocking way, like a sudden death of a loved one, it triggers hormones. Just saying.
But would you do it with the guy who killed your brother, though?
That's why the insight from the Wedding Crashers to crash funerals is true. Because the same emotions are in play. You are considering your life, what you've done, the people you've connected with. That's why people hook up at weddings and at funerals. But Maria's an idiot. This dude just stabbed your brother.
Exactly.
He had his brother's blood on his shirt.
Yep.
Had her brother's blood on his shirt. So when Anita comes in and, she's ready to kick some ass, and she's entirely justified because Maria is not thinking with her head.
Yeah, that's
thinking from somewhere lower.
She's thinking with Tony's head.
I was going to say her heart, but okay.
She's thinking of Tony's head. There, I fixed it.
Fair point. Mm-hmm.
Tony's point, yes.
Ah! All right. So, okay.
Well,
we've raved about it. Really great story. Obviously, you know how it ends. Classic Romeo and Juliet. But, Juliet doesn't die here, at least.
She's just very, very angry.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that climactic moment when,
I cried.
No, it was a very heavy ending because it's kind of like as opposed to being a very romantic story, it's more of like a slap to the face, crash back down to reality. Like, oh, this is real life. People die.
Yep.
People you love die.
Yep.
In the worst way possible.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes to show you what kind of, what things can happen when you have communities that hate each other or breed hate.
That's so true. When choreographer, director Jerome Robbins was developing the West Side Story in the 50s with Leonard Bernstein and the other producers, they they really were just thinking of making a simple transposition of Romeo and Juliet to the 1950s, because they said they didn't have a compelling reason for two factions to fight. In fact, originally they wanted to be like a Jewish boy and a Roman Catholic girl, something like that. But they said, medyo mababaw, whatever. And then they read up a few years later. They actually tabled it. They put it aside, and a few years later they saw a newspaper article about Puerto Rican gang violence, and then they said, "Oh, that's it. That's our hook. It's gonna be racially motivated because not religion. It's about racial intolerance. It's about exactly what Anja just said. It's about people of different ethnicities coming together in a community and deciding that they don't like each other, because nobody starts out disliking each other. You have to decide that you don't like somebody, and the stupider the reason, the more likely that somebody's going to end up shot.
Yep.
Yeah. This is what they really portrayed very well in this more recent, not a remake, but a more recent version of this film. And I guess we also have to talk about how some people have already written this film off because they're like, they said it's gonna be racially accurate or inclusive, so it's one of those woke movies. But if you think about it, there is no version of West Side Story that isn't quote unquote woke.
Why is it supposed to be inclusive? And why do they have to point out its racial accuracy if they're gonna actually cast Puerto Rican? It's kind of dumb to point it out and call it woke.
I review movies for 8 List and GMA News and
shameless plug.
Shameless plug right there, ladies and gentlemen. Please look me up, Mikhail Licaros. Thank you. Just Google me. I share the reviews. I share my reviews in a lot of different film and movie enthusiast groups, a lot of film critic groups, movie review groups, and all these sort of things. And I find that the most visceral reactions to my takes on the film have generally been from a Caucasian American audience. Funnily enough. They are saying exactly what Mai mentioned. They are complaining it's too woke. They're saying they don't want messages with their entertainment. Why can't it just be fun like the original? Why does it have to try and teach us something?
Well, wasn't the original the same thing as
it was written by 4 gay guys in the 50s. I think they were writing about intolerance. I think they knew something about intolerance. And I think, they were as woke as fuck because they weren't trying to hide who or what they were. And it showed in their writing.
Exactly. So it's like, if you're pointing out the original, I don't know what you're talking about. Because it was always about immigrants. It was always about racially charged violence. It was always about that. Plus, it was written by, members of the LGBTQ community. And I feel like the only people who complain about these things are the people who have the privilege of not experiencing these troubles every day.
Or the people that it was meant for in the first place. It was meant to target in the first place. The people who needed to be taught a lesson.
Which is why we asked the question, why would you say that it's woke and inclusive when the actual characters are Puerto Rican and you're going to actually cast Latin Americans to play the parts? It's kind of dumb.
Just to give you an idea how different the mindsets were back in the 60s, right? Rita Moreno complained.
Because you lived through them?
No. I knew that was coming, but I took it anyway.
Just kidding.
That's a freebie. No, but when the 61 version was being
Close
made...
kay ni Rita Moreno. Pakilala mo ko.
Yeah, I know. She's so young. She's only 89. Wait.
Kalaro niya daw. Kalaro niya nung bata siya.
She was like being painted brown, like all the other Puerto Ricans, right? They were all painted a uniform brown, which shows up terribly in HD now.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
And you feel bad for them because she was a stunning woman. I mean, she still looks amazing. Now, I want to know what her skin regimen is, honestly. She's 89. Have you seen her skin in this new one? But
I did not know she was 89. She does not look 89.
Right.
Like she was 89.
Exactly. And she doesn't have, but she complained to the makeup artist, why you gotta paint us all brown? Puerto Ricans are many different colors, because Rita Moreno herself was fair skinned. And there are, as Anita, the new Anita shows, Ariana DeBose, there are black Puerto Ricans, there are brown Puerto Ricans, there are fair skinned, light skinned, dark skinned Puerto Ricans. They come in all shades, all colors. And the makeup artist told her, what, you got a problem being brown? What are you, a racist? The fucking makeup artist told the actual Puerto Rican that she was racist for not wanting to be painted brown.
That's ignorance. That's ignorance right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 1960s.
Yes.
But we're really glad this 2021 version was made. And I guess as much as it was really trying to be as authentic as possible. Although there are also comments saying that the writers really weren't genuinely going through that struggle. They weren't Puerto Rican themselves, but at least this one tried its hardest, and it was technically beautiful and, well, at least better accepted in this generation compared to the 60s one. So
yes, it was.
I guess safe to say... sorry, continue mo na lang yun.
It's just modernized. It's modernized to somehow be more authentic, and not just because it wants to pander to a certain audience.
Definitely.
And it might have taken a little bit more time fleshing out the story. You don't jump from one song number to another, but it's an important message. I guess it's tried to say more clearly what the 1961 film wasn't able to.
Either as a result of, the mindsets at the time, or just, the way it was originally presented. But now we have an award-winning director making a clear passion project, and he really wanted to do right by the communities he was representing, by the story he was telling, and also by the legacy he was picking up, by even thinking of doing a new movie when, the 1961 one, it was seen as an untouchable classic for the longest time.
Yeah.
1961 one.
He nailed it, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, okay, we've raved about it. Misha has ranted about Ansel enough, I guess. So besides Ansel Elgort, who unfortunately was not able to please everybody.
Who unfortunately is in this movie.
Oh, God.
He's not done.
Is there anything you'd like to change about Steven Spielberg's 2021 version of West Side Story? Besides Ansel Elgort, please, for the love of God.
I honestly... not that I'm taking anything away from Ariana DeBose, because I could not stop raving about her performance here, but I would have liked to see Naya Rivera also play Anita.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was originally slated to play Anita.
Oh.
Yeah.
But because of tragic circumstances...
Yeah, she would have... I imagine she would have...
It's a what if.
She would have brought adrenaline, but I think she also would have made a compelling Anita.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
She would have been amazing.
It's not really a change, so to speak, but it's more of like a curiosity. It's a what if Naya Rivera went through with the role and we didn't have Ariana DeBose, because Ariana DeBose was amazing. She went through, the character just went through so much.
Yeah, Anita's actually a very, very complex character, because you could understand the mental gymnastics she has to go through, because obviously, yes, the love of your life was killed.
Ikaw kasi Maria eh. How do you solve a problem like Maria? Or wrong musical.
Solve a problem
wrong
like
musical.
Maria.
Wrong musical.
Yeah, her true crime documentary would be banging a murderer.
Oh no!
No.
Because that's what she did.
No, going back to Anita.
Going back, yes. Anita is such a complex character, because here she is still trying to help Maria get with Tony. After Maria was held up being interviewed by the police, she still fucking helps Maria and goes to Tony to try to tell him that, hey, she's not gonna make it at your agreed time or whatever.
This is like one of the hardest scenes to watch, because you knew what was gonna happen.
This is where the best actress material comes up. So she tries to go to Valentina's drugstore, tries to tell Tony that, okay, Maria's being questioned by the police. But there, she is met by the fucking Jets, who insult and degrade the shit out of her. And even attempts to rape her.
Yes, they do.
That was a really
That
was a tough
messed up.
scene.
That was
was a-
so hard to watch.
Can,
And I-
can, can I just say that I saw the stage version after I saw the 61 movie, but before I saw this movie. And I was shocked at the near rape of Anita because it wasn't that intense in the original film.
Mm-hmm.
And to see it play out here in this movie,
No.
it just like, you feel dirty afterwards.
Yeah.
You know,
It feels
you know
so
how
bad.
you know how you see the talent in Steven Spielberg, because musicals will make you will translate these things, but you won't feel that uncomfortable. But somehow Steven Spielberg managed to do that, exactly what you feel. You feel dirty. You feel offended by what you see.
Violated. I felt so
right.
Yes,
violated.
violated.
for
That's
her.
exactly the word.
And it also adds to this factor where you see why Anita lies to Tony or Valentina, saying that, oh, Maria's dead. Because fuck
She
all
knows.
of you. I was going to help Maria and Tony, but
Yup.
fuck you guys.
Yes.
After what you tried to do to me, I give up. This is the
Yup.
last time I'm helping you guys.
Yep.
You know, but
Absolutely. It's screw you guys. I'm going home.
I
Yeah.
like the how pure her emotions were in that scene, because she not only called them out for that. It's not like, because she was already angry to begin with, and to go out of her way, step out of her emotions just to help out the brother of the sister of her lover, only to be tormented. And she even calls out Valentina, degraded. She even calls out Valentina, calling her
Yeah.
a traitor. Like, you're
Yeah.
a traitor just
Yeah.
because you married a gringo.
Yeah,
And it was
that,
probably the most painful thing to watch.
that is another added layer to the character of Anita.
She
which-
should win. She should
Yeah.
win.
I
Obviously,
really hope she wins.
Ariana DeBose has nailed, but I also think that Naya Rivera would have given it a different touch, but it's really, really
Her-
difficult
her-
to be
she
able
has
to do
this
that.
presence. Really, the camera just loves her.
Mhm.
Ariana DeBose. Well, for me, what I would change. I mean, honestly, clearly Spielberg made the movie that he wanted to make, and I already laid out my issues with Tony. So let's not go there. He's the weakest link in
Are you
any
sure?
movie. In both movie versions, Tony is the weakest link. Okay, that's not news. But if I could change anything about the movie, I would change the release, because this came out in December and people stayed away because the target audience was still scared to go out. There was big COVID surges all over the world, and everyone just wanted to see Spider-Man. It came out at the worst possible time. In fact, that people are only discovering it now that it's on Disney Plus 3 months later. They're only discovering it because number one, it's on Disney Plus, so it's on wide release, and number two, it's easier for them to access, and number two, because of a viral tweet from Guillermo del Toro, who posted like the first 30 seconds of the school dance sequence. And he was all like, how the hell did you do this, Mr. Spielberg? And people went nuts. They're like, holy shit, this exists? What
Yup.
movie is this? Because they missed it completely. They were all watching Spider-Man.
Imagine
Yeah.
a legendary director tweeting another legendary director's work.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And you can just like imagine the visual, the audio treat it was on the
On-
big screen.
That was amazing.
It was. I would not have seen it any other way. So Anjo, I know you've seen
Stick
it already.
Andrew enjoyed it.
Stick
Oh yeah,
Anjo.
sure.
Stick
Stick
Andrew
Andrew enjoyed it.
It was
I got to the screening.
breathtaking.
I got to the screening late. I had like the worst seats imaginable. Me and Dang were seated like 3 rows from the front, and we were on the
Oh,
right side. So we had
no.
like stiff necks by the time it was done.
Oh,
But it
no.
was beautiful.
Oh
it
my
was
God.
worth the stiff neck.
It was a good assault on the senses because
Mhm.
so many things were happening. The amazing choreography plus the cinematography and camera movement. It's
Imagine-
like, I'm
imagine-
barfing rainbows right now.
If I felt that way watching it from a computer screen while streaming this movie, it's just, I can't imagine. I can't express how jealous I am of you guys for watching this on the big screen.
Yeah, you should have like cast that shit on the TV. You should have put it up on the biggest screen in the house and watched
There's a
it
sleeping
there.
baby in the room. I can't cast. We watch with Bluetooth earphones. So.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, this is nitpicking at some point, but fine. Like given Ansel, obviously, but I'm gonna go back to Chino and maybe
Oh.
just nitpicking at how he suddenly had good eyesight. You know, he's all angry now. He has a gun. He loses the glasses, which is a quintessential I'm gonna be a badass movie trope. So it's like
He traded his glasses for a gun. He's a
So
bad
Now
guy.
he is a bad guy.
how were you able to see? How were you able to shoot Tony and not miss without
He was
your
aiming for
glasses?
Maria.
That's why.
That's it. He was aiming for Maria. He hit Tony by accident. He wanted to shoot the race traitor in the face, and he hit her boyfriend in the back by mistake.
Okay, that explains it. So
Three
that's it.
times.
He's like,
He tried 3
he's
times.
like, the fuck did I leave my glasses in that salt warehouse?
Yeah, okay, that's okay, my question has been answered. So he was aiming for Maria. Okay, got it. So
He was really mad. So.
that's all
I
I'm
guess he
gonna
was
change
trying to
then.
solve a problem like Maria,
With a bullet.
Okay.
who is Ariana DeBose.
Rihanna DeBose. Oh, she is the bullet. I see how it all came together. Look at you. Look at you.
Full circle. And this is also where we wrap things up. Those are our thoughts on West Side Story. Once again, thank you to our friends over at Stratworks and Disney for giving us the wonderful, wonderful privilege of seeing it on the big screen. So we definitely suggest it's still out in select theaters here in Manila. So
Stick
please-
Anja says thank you too.
So please do see it on the big screen. It's how it deserves to be watched. Or if you're catching it on Disney Plus, try to cast it on the biggest screen you can. You will not regret it.
Absolutely.
If you have a projector, you can throw it up a white wall. That would help.
Yes, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And with your best speakers, please, because it is amazing.
Yes, you are right. It is an assault to the senses.
In
A good assault.
way. Yes.
Mhm.
Like keep
Absolutely.
assaulting me. Wait, what?
What? What?
Nanda yo.
No,
Okay,
just
bye,
like,
guys.
Okay, yeah, that's
Wait, no.
No, okay,
Moving
no.
on.
Okay, bye. Follow us on our socials at sub_auteurs on Instagram. We also have Facebook, our Facebook page. Please like it. We also have a
Stop
Facebook
laughing.
group. Sub-Auteurs. We like movies, or we share movie news and random stuff about movies. Please, let's forget I ever said that last part. That is not.
No,
that is
that was
only
awful.
giving. That was only giving consent to West Side Story to assault me, not anything else.
Yeah, stop saying assault.
Ansel kasi!
Kasi naman, iniwan kasi ni Chino sa Assault Factory yung salamin niya. Okay. With that, it's time to say bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay. Sa feeling mo, witty ka.
naman.
Okay,
Hindi naman.
this is our cue. I'm Mai.
Yes. I'm Misha.
And I'm Anjo.
And we're the Sub-Auteurs. Thank you.